It is dirty, dirty secrets of the federal court system time at 7:34 p.m. May 23rd, 2020. I did this thing. I filed this case with the district court in my locality. I live in Dallas. See, I'd gone through the Supreme Court of Texas, and they did this really messed up thing where they took the case number from a case I was an expert witness on for a woman that was involved in an alleged custody dispute with her ex-husband. And they took the metrics from the case number connected to her kid, and then they put it on an appeal of a lawyer who had been disbarred, who was engaged in derivative litigation, and had, let's just say, a lot of misrepresentations in his case. So I became concerned because this metric kept coming up and it had all these really intense associations. Well, at some point I filed in connection with that case from the state court, and the clerk just completely misrepresented the filing. I filed a filing to challenge a specific kind of filing, and they characterized my filing as that kind of filing. It was absolutely 100% an act of fraud on the part of the clerk, but nobody would change it. And they did this nice little thing where they had a bunch of lawyers listed, and then they had me in the middle, and then they had a bunch of lawyers listed underneath me. There was literally no actual reason for them to insert me in the list of people, interested parties, the way they did, except that they were playing around, right? So they ended up closing that case, and I tried to file an appeal in connection with various things I've been tracking with the federal court system. I was, trying to say, something about the failure of the state court to exercise its duties in accordance with the Constitution. And I filed the case, and then immediately after I got confirmation that the case has been received and there was a file number, I'm like, whoa, wait a second, what's going on? Who's got something else working on this case? And why does it have this association? So I went back to the courthouse the next day and I looked at the stuff on the system. See, if you look it up on site, it's different than if you look it up off site. And I found this case. Now, this case is from a couple years ago, but the thing is, one of the respondents has the same last name I do, spelled the same way. And that is somebody that actually works with an insurance brokerage. It is Kraus and Associates Insurance Brokerage, listed with a bunch of different offices for Aon Risk Services. It's a case having something to do with problems in the midstream effort, or rather involving transportation. Now, my dad was involved in transportation in one manner or another the whole time I was growing up, right? So I was like, what does this case that has the same last name as mine have to do with mine? Well, then I noticed that the judge in my case had been assigned to the same guy who was the judge in this case. Just a coincidence, right? I was concerned there was a conflict of interest, so I contacted every lawyer involved in this case. The ironic thing is, I couldn't get any of the people that were the respondents, who would have been the ones associated with the insurance firms, to acknowledge my call. Oh, that doesn't concern us. Really? They may be using my case as a proxy for yours. But the other side, right, took an interest, took my information. It seemed almost as if they understood that this was pretty much something connected to their case. Now, I didn't look at the case filings and the arguments. I wasn't trying to instill a conflict of interest. I did notice that when I finally did get a response from the court, that they actually put a magistrate judge in instead of the actual judge, which technically you're supposed to consent to a magistrate judge. All right, and I hadn't consented. And she ended up quoting a case involving, guess this, get this, insurance for automobiles. But it was a different case that instead of having my last name, had my sister's last name. Huh? That's kind of cute, isn't it? Stay tuned for part 2.